Weekday nights, the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's pure delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. The CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers strike and Bengals roar. Every game we want some more. Tune it in and feel the thrill. Strawberry ice, he's giving chills. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. CTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's pure delight.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole, and as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave, and the Ice Cave is brought to you by Priority Lawn and Landscaping. So if you got multiple properties or just your own property, you don't want to cut the grass, think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. You got some a flower bed that you want mulch, or you want to redesign it, or anything lawn or landscaping, you want to put a paper patio in, a retaining wall, hell, I don't know, you can put a fountain in. And they even have their own shop now. So if you guys just want to buy mulch or rock or anything, think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. Don't think it, call them at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. I recommend the Facebook one because they actually put videos out there and pictures of the jobs that they've done. So if you're looking for ideas or anything like that, you can follow them on Facebook. But when you call them or message them on Facebook, do me a favor, tell them you heard about it from Sports with Strawberry Ice. What is up to everybody in the chat? We've got Stranger in there, Paul's in there, and Kevin's in there. One last thing I want to bring back up again. I will be embarrassing myself, hopefully not, at the 35th Annual Celebrity Softball Classic at the Florence Yalls Baseball Stadium. July 17th. I got to go to the batting cage and get my swing back together to see if I can do it. But if you guys want tickets, check out at Celebrity Softball Classic. All right. We got a very special guest today. We got Bronson Arroyo on. But first, let me bring in my co-host. He hasn't been on in about a month. He's been sick, kids, all kinds of different stuff. Yeah, I was sick last week. He's none other than Joe Farsi. What's up, Joe?
They really are stretching thin the definition of a celebrity, aren't they?
Well, I was talking about Bronson, not you. Yeah,
for the softball.
Oh, softball, yes. They're definitely, yes. They're scraping the bottom of the barrel when they're asking me to come out there and play. I'm like, all right, sure.
I heard I'm like a fifth reserve if everyone opts out. Hey, so what's going on, man? How are you?
Nothing, dude. Hey, I got to go to, dude, I haven't played softball probably in like 15 years. I need to go to the batting cage and try. If I can make it through without pulling something, I'll be happy. That'd be a good thing.
At this advanced age, I need to get back into beer league softball because I had so much fun with it when I was younger, and it's going to be hard for me to tone down the competitive.
That's going to be the thing for me. Because yes,
yeah, I go hard, and my legs won't do it. But my goal now is just to hit the ball as hard as humanly possible, and then just jog. Either it's over the fence or everything's going to be a double or a single.
Well, let's talk to somebody who's played a little bit higher level than beer league softball. He's a Reds Hall of Famer. He's an awesome musician. He pitched for the Savannah Bananas, but he's going to be playing guitar tomorrow night for the Savannah Bananas. He's none other than Reds Hall of Famer, Bronson Arroyo. What's going on, Bronson?
Just hanging out, man. Friggin'. Enjoying some summertime weather, man.
Am I gonna
finally.
am I gonna hurt myself playing softball? Do you think I have a shot of not pulling something at 50 years old?
I think there's a good shot that what you're gonna do is you're gonna make good solid contact, and you're gonna forget. You're gonna get out of the box those first 3 steps, and a hamstring just gonna be.
I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm back in the day, man. I'm gonna take off one. Oh, a little tired.
Just the legs every time, man. I got high school buddies that went out and played for the first time, man, and they were like, dude, my quads almost ripped off the bone first time down the first base.
Yeah. Like I said, my sister is like, make sure you stretch. I'm like, I will stretch. I will do everything. But like Joe said, like, I know it's going to happen because I haven't played anything competitive in a while. And my competitive juice is going to come, and I'm going to be trying to dive in there head first like Pete Rose and pop my shoulder out or whatever. So hopefully I'll make it without hurting myself. But
go play some pickleball first, because I mean that's you do it with pairs and everything. You only have to do half the course, so you're not having to run yourself to exhaustion. But just get a little bit of mobility and movement in your joints and in your lower body and everything.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. Dusty here says R.I.P. to Brian Wilson of the Beach Boys. He did pass away today. So
now, let me ask, what's Bronson? Maybe we'll send it to you first. Well, what's your favorite Beach Boy song?
Wow, man, there's a lot of them. But I probably just because I'm a big Beatles fan, and hearing McCartney say "Only God Knows Why" is maybe the greatest song ever written. I mean, that's so much. It's hard not to get goosebumps listening to that song, and then watching Brian, like in the Wall of Sound, kind of directing everybody. Mm-hmm. Like when you listen to those records as a kid, you thought that it was probably an equal contribution from most of the members, right? That's what it felt like because there was so many harmonies going on. Come to find out, one guy's like orchestrating the whole thing. It's just beyond mind blowing.
Yeah, that's easily my favorite. I mean, Pet Sounds, obviously iconic, one of the top 3-4 albums ever recorded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jeff, what's yours?
As far as Beach Boys songs would be Good Vibrations. That's the one that I always hear. I mean, that's I'm not as deep into the Beach Boys as some people. My parents would know more about it than I would. Yeah. But yeah, that's the one that I always think of when I'm thinking of the Beach Boys, and just summertime and going to the beach, chilling out, and having some fun. It's what it is with them. But Brian Wilson was an unbelievable musician. I mean, just top notch. So
the production that he introduced and everything. I think that's the bigger. As great as the Beach Boys were, and the harmonies are just iconic and just so beautiful. I think the production that he introduced just elevated pop rock, whatever, just to an entire artistic level.
Yeah, Bronson, it's like to harmonize with people. That's where I have no singing voice whatsoever, but trying to be able to get that harmony and rhythm with people that takes. It's more. Sometimes people think you can just like a barbershop quartet or whatever. People think you just pick it up and go. They got to work on that stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been singing for 25 years. I still can't sing a true harmony. A true harmony, you're staying in at a parallel note from the person who's singing the lead, and you're never deviating from that, really, right? Like I could sing some harmony, little pieces here and there, but to stay on an entire song, and do something like Karen Carpenter or something like in unison, the whole song, and just singing that harmony. I mean, I have no shot at doing that at all, man. And I think Brian was probably singing. Not only was he directing his cousins and family members to sing other parts, but he was probably, kicking theirs out of the can and singing a few of them himself when they left the studio at night to make the record.
Did a little night producing there.
Yeah.
So Bronson, what's the plan for tomorrow night at the Savannah Bananas? What I know you're not pitching, but you're going to be playing music.
I'm not going to pitch. I think I heard Sean Casey's going to be in the house. I heard so I don't know if he's playing in the game or if he's doing something different, but I think there's going to be a couple other Reds guys around, I believe, but I'm going to have a guitar at some point during the game. Probably going to try to get the crowd singing along to a song that maybe the guys are going to be dancing to from the Bananas, or maybe they're going to be helping me sing along. We're going to have a little sound check tomorrow afternoon, and after batting practice, we'll see how it's going to go down. It's a little different inside of a stadium. You got sounds bouncing around with a half a second to a second delay, and so we're going to need some in-ears and make sure that you can hear yourself good before we can pull it off. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Now, have you ever played in the stadium before? I thought you didn't you, or did you not?
Yeah, I have, but only with having wedges in front of me, which basically would be like in-ears. So you're not hearing the echo because the monitor or the speaker right in front of you is blasting so loud that you can't hear the echo. But If you just have an acoustic guitar and you're singing and there's nothing else going on in the stadium, you're going to echo like when you're singing the national anthem. So it can be tough because you're hearing yourself bounce off the back wall a half a second after you could lose your place. So
easily.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, once you hear your own voice reverberate after you've talked, it messes with you. You can't.
Oh yeah.
I can't concentrate. I'm like, wait, I hear my own voice coming back. Like, what's going on?
When I was on the field, when they gave me the rocking chair and the guitar for retiring when the Red Sox were in town, and the Red Sox gave me the 61 out of the Fenway Park wall. Dick Williams was the general manager at the time, and he was speaking about me, and he was having such a hard time. I asked him afterwards, man, like, you were really struggling up there, huh? And he said, yeah, it was two things. One, he was getting a little emotional and tearing up a little bit about the fact that I was leaving after, almost a decade. But also he was hearing himself bounce off. So he couldn't concentrate on what the next thing he wanted to say because he was hearing himself back. And so if you're not used to that, it can be a real problem.
Well, I know when we do the live stuff sometimes that we've done at Moline Lawgrass, if the crowd is really loud, like Joe could be sitting right next to me, and we don't have earpieces, but sometimes he's sitting right next to me and he's talking and the speakers are going out. I gotta kind of like lean in and like, what did you say? Because I can't even hear him and he's right next to me because all the sound is going out. So it's just interesting how that all works. Yeah, right. Yeah, because he might be making fun of me. I'm going, I have no idea what he said. like, all right, yep, you're right. Like, I don't know.
It's a safe bet that I'm making fun of you.
Yeah, probably. Most likely. All right, Bronson. So this season with the Reds here, it's been a little disappointing, but I've had people come talk to me about the pitching, and I'm like, you're obviously a former pitcher. I think the pitching has been unbelievable for this team this year. I mean, despite Hunter Greene being in and out of the rotation, I think this is some of the best starting pitching the Reds have had in years.
Yeah, I've been saying it for a long time that when people ask me, how is this team going to eventually go, the only way I see you breaking through is with the starting five. Like that is the meat and potatoes of putting down a template of just having a chance to win enough games to win a division or get into a playoff situation. And I don't think they've had a rotation this consistent since I probably left. And, after 17, maybe even after 13, right? I mean, we had –
I think I'd go back to 12 and
13. Yeah. So it's like now that they've got five guys that you feel like you can depend on, obviously Hunter's having some injuries, but you're hoping he's going to get back and get right back to what he was doing. But, having guys go in there and you feel like you have an opportunity to win for me is the number one thing. And then everything else can fall into place. And right now, it just feels like they're spinning their wheels. They're playing 500 ball. But, you've lost so many games that you could have won based on the offense not putting up enough run production. And that's been the opposite of what we've seen over the last decade for the most part with this ball club. And I will take that any day over the other way around. If you're scoring 9 every night, but your pitching giving up 12, the games are really long. They get lengthened out. Your guys are totally gassed out. I'd much rather lose, 3-0 every night and not have anybody score and know that your starting pitching is pretty good. And I still think that this team has a run in them. They haven't had a run yet, right? You haven't had where they've got the tires and they start moving and don't slow down. And so I think if they can just catch that one streak, they can close the gap a little bit and just keep us in it. You know what I mean? Like, this has been such a disappointing ball club for so many years to where, you get close to the 2/3 of the way of the season, it's over. Right. And if we can just stay in this thing, I think there's a little more optimism knowing that when you get a guy like Abbott goes out there every night, you feel like you have a chance to win.
Talk about his pitching performance last night, because I was talking to one of my buddies at work, and that day of, I was saying Abbott has been the Reds' best pitcher. He goes, what about Hunter Greene? I said, Hunter Greene has been injured. I said, I'll put it this way. He's been the most consistent pitcher. And honestly, right now, I think Abbott deserves talk for the All-Star game. I don't know if he's going to make it or not, but I definitely think he deserves to be talked about it for that. I mean, and first time we had a complete game, one shutout. I think 2 hits is what I think he gave up. I mean, that was a hell of a performance the other night.
Yeah, he's for one, he's behind the 8 ball a little bit on innings pitched, and that's why he's probably not in the tops of the league leaders for ERA and stuff like that, because he might not have qualified yet, which could hurt him a little bit in the All-Star balloting. But I think no doubt he deserves an All-Star look, and he has been the most consistent guy in the rotation. I mean, I liken him a lot to who I was in a rotation, right? It's a guy who's kind of like your solid number 3. Maybe he's not your number 1 or your number 2, but for somehow, some way, because of his health and because he stays out there every 5th day, it feels like he's pulling like a number 2, maybe, right? And And, you know, that's basically what I did my whole career. And when I think about guys who did that in the past, you think of a Tom Browning, you know, and Abbott and Browning feel like guys who know how to get people out without obviously looking for a specific reason, right? Like he doesn't have like the nastiest breaking ball. He doesn't have the nastiest cutter. It's just like he has an idea how to pitch. He knows how to stay healthy. He knows how to be consistent. He's got grit. He's got some guts, right? You mix all these things together and you get a guy who just consistently goes out there and makes it look a little easier than some guys who have a lot bigger fastball or a lot better breaking ball. And those are the guys that I love to watch pitch, because when you're playing defense behind a guy like that, or even if you're just sitting in the dugout feeling like, how's this game going to go today? You just have, you know, that even keeled meter that you're kind of bouncing it off of. And you feel like, you know, unless he gets really roughed up early, I know we got a shot with this guy tonight. And that was really my goal on the mound my entire career.
Yeah, you're comp to Tom Browning. That's who I really could compare him to. Joe, you got something?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at his Fangraphs page here, and his Ks are back up. He's back to over strikeout an inning. Walks are down. He's given a fewer home runs, and I think that's the case, especially when you're playing, you know, with 16, 17 starts in Great American. We know when it heats up how easily that, you know, because of how small the field is. If you can keep the ball in the field of play, I mean, you're putting yourself at a lot better advantage than you would otherwise. Let me ask you a question. When you pitched, did you approach pitching at home games differently, knowing that you've got those short fences and in the summertime the ball flies? Did you ever change your approach, or do you just listen? This is pitch one. It doesn't matter if I'm pitching Yankee Stadium, if I'm pitching at Fenway, if I'm pitching Great American. I still have to spot my pitches and let them do with it.
Yeah, you know, if the wind was blowing out big time and the ballpark was small, like a Fenway or a Great American ballpark, then it could change the way I pitch, right? Because if the wind's blowing, let's say from right field to left field really hard across, and you know that right-handers can pull the ball out of the park really easily, but lefties are going to have a hard time getting it out, that it can dictate which side of the plate I'm going to pitch on in some given situations. Not for the whole game, but maybe in some crucial spots. But if there's no wind, if we're talking about just size of a stadium, it wouldn't change a whole lot. You know, we're going to get beat guys the way you want to beat guys, and you just hope that they didn't get the ball in the air and hit one out of the park. But I tried never to let whatever field I was pitching in kind of play into the psyche of having a bad taste in my mouth before the game started, right? And part of that, what I would do as well is also not really observing umpires and scrutinizing them in a way that I knew exactly what their balls and strikes would be called. I would have an idea if an umpire had a big zone or a small zone, but I wasn't going to scrutinize like up, down, left, and right perfectly, because I didn't ever want to go into a game thinking, man, this guy's going to squeeze me before we ever get started, and I'm pitching in Philly, and it's short to left field, right? So now you start feeling all these pressures. So I generally, unless the wind was really whipping, I would pitch every ballpark pretty much the same. I will say I had a lot of success in Great American for how small it was, but I usually enjoyed pitching on the road a little bit better, and the reason was because if you got in trouble on the road, the crowd was cheering for the home team.
You shut them up.
Trouble at home, especially if you're doing it 2 and 3 starts in a row, you could start hearing the boo birds. And when you're pitching in front of people that you know they're staring at you and they're booing at home, you know, there's a bit of a disappointment there, and it's hard to shake that off when you're out there on the mound sometimes.
Yeah, well, you didn't get booed that much, though, I don't think.
No, not a lot. But listen, I've seen Pedro Martinez get booed in Fenway.
Well, that's Fenway. Their fans are a little different there.
70 games over 500, dude. 70.
Right.
Bluebirds once in a blue, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what the hell? I got a question from Dustin here. He says, what have you seen with Lodolo Bronson? Seems like he has struggled a lot lately. What's your thoughts on Nick Lodolo?
Yeah, I haven't actually seen him pitch enough, to be honest. You know, when I watch him throw, he still looks like the same guy. He looks relatively healthy to me. You know, he slings it so much, man, and he's so nasty with his breaking ball, kind of like, you know, like Randy Johnson was in a lot of ways. I'm always kind of surprised when a guy like that, when they can square him up. And I felt that way about Ashcraft as well, too. Like there was times when Ashcraft stuff looked so nasty, I wasn't quite understanding how, you know, teams were squaring him up there for a while. But with Lodolo, you know, like I said, I haven't scrutinized him from front to back. I see his innings going here and there, and I see him give up a few runs, and I see him have some great innings. But I haven't watched a lot of his starts through and through to really see what's going on there. But for the most part, he's a 2-pitch pitcher, right? And he's a guy that he's a guy that is got nasty enough stuff to get away with it, even if he's not throwing strikes all the time. And so for a guy like him, man, it could just be that he's behind in counts, right? Because if you're a guy who kind of slings it like he does, and you're throwing up and away to a righty a little bit more than you want to be, but then that also plays in the fact that your breaking ball looks like it's going up and away, and you can throw strikes with it. But if he's 2-1 versus 1-1, or 3-1 versus 2-2, it's just a totally different ball game, right? So sometimes there's real subtle things going on in there. But for my money, to be honest, from what I've seen, and I haven't seen him pitch a lot this year, I like him out on the mound. His numbers aren't exactly what we want him to be right now, but I'll take him for the rest of the season, because I think that even if he pitches, just decent the rest of the year, I think his numbers will be better than what we've seen up to this point.
Yeah, the thing is, he's been healthy all year. It's the first time he hasn't. I don't think he's missed a start this year. And one thing I kind of compare him the way that you pitch with the arm angle and everything, and to just talk about that with that arm angle, because I think Cowboys talk about how he's trying to keep the arm angle consistently in the same slot, so the pitch looks the same, but it's a different pitch, and you can't tell the difference. And that's kind of the arm angle in there and the kick and everything with you. You kind of had that same pitching style.
Yeah, he's really gangly in a lot of ways, and he's a low 3/4 guy, and he throws a little bit lower than I did naturally, but I would drop down on purpose, which is the opposite of what Cowboy's saying here. He's trying to talk about being in the same arm slot, and that's probably because he doesn't lean on a changeup very much, right? So it's fastball, breaking ball, and when you just have the two pitches, you need them to look like they're coming out of the same angle, because if you're pinned down to just two pitches as a starting pitcher, you're already kind of pinned to the wall a little bit. And then if you got an arm slot that changes based on the breaking ball versus the fastball, then it makes it that much more obvious, right, what you're going to throw. But like I said, I think, across the board, man, I mean, you can look at it and say, these guys are 34 and 33, and the starting staff, you just hadn't got it done. But in my mind, the starting staff have done exactly what you need to do to put yourself in a position to make the playoffs. Now, when you have a ball club like the Cubs that are running away with it right now, things can change a little bit, because if the division leader is only a few games over 500, then we look pretty good. But right now, because of the Cubs, it looks like you're way back, and that also changes the way you have to approach the back half of the season if that's the way that they're going to keep going. Yeah,
the Cubs offense is unbelievable. They just hit the crap out of the ball, and the Reds went and won five in a row, and I think we're in the exact same position in the NL Central and the wild card as we were the week before. So that's where we won 5 in a row and we didn't make up any ground. So that kind of stinks.
I was going to say the last thing about the Cubs. I watched a little bit of the Cubs series in Chicago, and it's like you look at the lineup and the numbers they're putting up is amazing. But I thought our staff handled them really well. I thought our staff looked really comfortable against that lineup. And sometimes that happens in the game where you can beat the Cubs, most of the time throughout the season. Let's say you play them 9 times and you take 6 from them, but for whatever reason, you can't beat the Pirates, even though they're freaking 15 wins under 500, right? That happens. It's always been that weird mojo with the Reds and some of the teams in the division.
Yeah, that's one of the frustrating things about the season. You go and you kick the Indians' ass, and then you turn around and you'll go lose to the freaking Pirates. Like, what the hell? Like, I don't understand that. 2 pitchers I want to get to here, and then we're gonna get to some of your music here. You mentioned before Graham Ashcraft. He's making the transition from starting pitching to bullpen. I don't think you ever pitched. Well, actually, you did pitch out of the bullpen in the World Series, but you didn't do it consistently. But just from a pitching perspective, how hard is that to go from pitching every 5 days to basically trying to pitch every day or every other day and getting your arm? Because somebody said, I think Cowboy said too on the broadcast, that your relief pitcher, your arm is never feels fine, and it's hard to get used to that, I guess, from a starting pitcher to a relief pitcher.
I think each individual guy you hear guys who have a rubber arm, and those are guys who can throw all the time and basically never feel a lot of pain, right? I was like that. You can kind of throw the ball every day. If you're a little sore, you can still get through it. And there's some guys who just have pain all the time, and that's harder. But it's definitely an easier transition going from a starter to a reliever than it is the opposite. I mean, just the bulk of being a starting pitcher, of going out there and throwing 100 pitches is unmatched by anything else you'll do in the game. And so when you're a starter and you go down to the bullpen, the things that you're trying to figure out that are tough to do is, one, you don't have nearly as much time to kind of doctor your stuff down there. You don't have as much time to say, oh yeah, I got my good snappy curveball today, because you might only be able to throw 12 pitches before they call your name.
Right.
That's one thing. And the other thing too is that when we're starting pitchers, we generally go out there and we know we have a little wiggle room. We're going to go out there. We're not going to throw you the nastiest slider on the very first pitch, because it's the first pitch of the game.
Right.
When you come out of the bullpen, 7th, 8th, 9th inning, it's a totally different animal. You got to go after it right away, which means a guy like Graham now is his adrenaline spiking to the moon, and instead of trying to suppress it, he's just going to try to ride that wave. And to me, that was easier to do. I pitched out of the bullpen, not a ton, but I've had plenty of innings out of the bullpen in the playoffs, and other times when I was being shifted back and forth from a starter to kind of the long man out of the bullpen. And pitching out of the pen, if you don't have any arm injuries, I felt like I could have fired it up for an inning almost every single day. And I bet you Graham goes down there and has no problem getting it going 2 or 3 days in a row, especially when you've had the starting mentality for most of your life. And so I think as long as you kind of master going out there and feeling like you got your best stuff on a moment's notice, that's really the only thing you got to kind of figure out when you're going out there.
Yeah, the most famous one for you is in the 04 World Series, and I think we talked about this a little bit at the Moreland Lager House, but for everybody who missed it, you were a part of the documentary of that. Was it 20 years since? Has it been 20 years?
20 years, yeah. I think that was called The Comeback.
Yeah, the comeback. Yeah, just how was it? And the like I said, I'm a Reds fan. I'm not a Red Sox fan. But the thing that I didn't know is on the comeback, you guys took shots of Jack Daniels before the game started. I thought that's a Kevin Lamar thing. Just talk about how that doing that documentary was, and getting back together to talk about that season and seeing your teammates from the World Series. What was that like?
Yeah, doing the documentaries was great. I mean, just talking about that series with the Yankees and then going on to sweep the Cardinals and win that World Series. It was, no baseball team in the history of the game has ever come back from being down 3-0, much less against the Yankees with that type of a lineup, having guys like Matsui and Posada hitting the bottom of the order, with 25 homers apiece. It's always beautiful to talk about that. It felt like it was out of a movie in a lot of ways. It felt like it was scripted, when you watch it back sometimes. Right. I will say that the 20th anniversary was overshadowed a little bit along with those documentaries because Tim Wakefield had passed away and his wife in a really short amount of time, and his kids were there. And then right after we did the 20th anniversary, and I had a beautiful conversation with Dave McCarty and his wife for about an hour about Wakefield. And a week later, he dies of a heart attack in the weight room out in Sacramento, California. And so it's kind of a double punch in the gut there in a short amount of time. But, seeing the guys from that team always brings back beautiful memories. It was really an all-star team when you have guys like Johnny Damon, who weren't even the best players on the team, who are borderline Hall of Famers. It was really being kind of in a grown man's locker room, and really fun to come to the park every day and see how crazy the locker room could be, and then go out and be so serious about playing the game between the white lines.
So for the documentary and the reunion, did you ever have a thought in your mind to put the cornrows back in just for old time's sake?
I got yelled at enough by Schilling when I put them in the first time.
Like, what are you doing? Joe, you got something?
Well, I was just going to say, talking about relievers and players that you play with. So I'm looking at someone who's actually now with the Red Sox that you played with the Reds, Aroldis Chapman, 37 years old. He's averaging 100.1 miles an hour on his sinker. What would you do if, even when you were 22, if you could throw 101 miles an hour on a fastball?
Man, like, if I could have topped out at 101 and I was just sitting at I could sit at 96 and just go get it when I wanted to. It would have been like pitching in Little League when you were a kid, and I was punching out, 15 to 18 every single night. Sometimes you punch out the whole lineup. People wouldn't get in the box when you were a kid. Like, the parents would have to shove them in there. They'd be crying when you were 8, 9 years old. And that's what it would have felt like at the big league level if I threw 100. But, we can't all have everything, right? If I threw 100, chances of me having the breaking ball I had and the command I had were probably 0, right? So, to have all of that, you're Pedro Martinez in 1999 in his prime. And that just doesn't come along every day. But Aroldis came into the league a super skinny guy, but very, very wiry and strong, obviously. Mm-hmm. And he could have been a guy who faded away from the weight room, and his fastball probably would have faded. He's done a really good job of getting bigger and stronger over the years. And, he's lost probably a little bit of flexibility because of it. Because, he's got some thick arms and thick shoulders, man, and he works hard. But the thing is, he only knows he has to go out there and get 15 pitches, right? it's just a lot different than being a starter. So for that reason, he has stayed strong late into his, in his 30s. And he might, I mean, honestly, the way he looks, he's probably could get another 3-4 years out of it. He might be a 40-year-old guy that we never thought would get there, who's still putting up, saves for some ball club around the league.
Yeah, I mean, his numbers this year are amazing. He's 3-2 with 159 ERA and 39 strikeouts, 29 innings. So if you had to choose, obviously, you weren't a guy with the overpowering fastball. If you could, you're playing MLB The Show and you're creating a pitcher, would you prefer to be that guy to blow guys away, or would you prefer to be the guy who's got more breaking balls and change of speed and stuff like that?
Well, if I could put it in terms of some guys and their skill set, if I could be Greg Maddux and throw 87 and win 255, I'll take that all day, every day.
Right.
But if I was creating a character that you wanted to be sexy and that you were like, you could beat your chest a little bit coming off the mound, I'll definitely take Max Scherzer stuff. I was like 95, 96, and he could get a little bit more when he wants to, man. It's like that would be fun against grown men, some of the best players in the world, But to watch Greg be a magician like he was for that many years, and knowing that he probably wasn't going to break his Tommy John ligament throwing that hard, right? Like it was a little easier life than would be being a hard thrower.
Yeah, exactly.
The movement on his two-seamer, the back door hitting the outside edge against right-handers. Like, I mean, you couldn't put it. Like, you couldn't just place it at any better spot. And there's no sense swinging at it. You're just going to take it off foul.
I know.
And one of the most fun guys to watch.
Unbelievable. And for years, people always said, because he always went to his mouth and it looked like he was always getting like either a ton of saliva, and people would say that he put Abilene under his tongue. Slippery on the ball. But to be honest, no matter what you do to a baseball outside of scuffing it, to have that type of movement that he had, to put something slippery on it doesn't even make sense to me. I mean, with his type of command.
Right. Exactly.
I don't know how, honestly, the only person I've ever seen in the game that I felt like, at least in the old days, could almost duplicate was a guy named Rick Reed. And he had a nice little run there with the Mets. And he figured out how Greg was throwing that. And it was, it was so big that to freeze a lefty and still come back on the inner half for a strike is really, really hard to do. And, he just did it with mastery.
One other guy I want to talk about here, Wade Miley. He's coming in and you've done this. You come back from injury, and he got released by the Reds. Was going to go seek another job, and then Hunter Greene got injured, so they brought him back, and he made his first start and pitched really well. He he's kind of like you. It was a veteran guy, doesn't have big time stuff, but knows how to pitch. How hard is that for him to make that? I don't say transition, but the first start of the year when you're trying to prove that you still can pitch, and this team needs you because Hunter just went down. Like, how hard is that? How much pressure is on him to do that? And I got mad respect for him to be able to come out and pitch for the Reds like he did the other day. Yeah,
to be honest, I mean, for one, I'm watching Wade. He's still throwing 92, 93. Really impressive at age 37 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's still got his old stuff, but in the minds of the baseball world, he's considered a guy right on the backside of his career.
Right.
You don't know how much you're going to get out of him. But, like you said, Wade is a smart guy. He's never been a guy in the weight room. I mean, I've never played with a guy who did less. Like,
really?
Wade is eat a chocolate cupcake before he goes out of the phone. Let's go great.
Yes, that's my kind of pitcher. Let's go.
I mean, dude, we're in Chicago one time. I'm with the Diamondbacks, and Wade looks over at me and he goes, "Do I have any icing on my face?" He's going to the bullpen like right now. But Wade he didn't care about eating clean, and he wasn't a big weight room guy. If he did something in there, it wasn't a lot. But he knows how to pitch. He's gutsy. He'll play hurt. Yes. Right? He has an idea how to get guys out the way Abbott does. There's something there that you can feel is consistent. Mm-hmm. And, coming off of an injury when teams are on the borderline of either releasing you or letting you go, no matter what kind of career you've had, puts a lot of pressure on you to try to come out and prove to people. Right. And I was so glad to see him get off to that good start. Because if you don't get off to that first good start, first impressions, even for a guy who's been around the league a lot, can go a long way. So seeing him solidify that was awesome. And I'm hoping that he gets some more opportunities and that there's going to be some place inside of this team that he can plug a hole for a while till everybody gets healthy. And then maybe he can transition somewhere else as well. But I mean, being in his position, is not, it's not always what you're looking for. You're looking to be on a ball club where you have a 3-year deal and you're getting the ball 32 times, right?
Yeah, right.
And if you don't have that, no matter how long you've been around the league, nobody likes to get pushed out when they're not ready. And so, we'll see what happens. But I always root for Wade, man, because he was a great teammate. He was trying to be our bass player in the band we had in Arizona.
Oh, was he?
It was Aaron Hill on guitar, Mark Trumbo on guitar. We had a relief pitcher, a little Latin kid playing drums. We had Kurt Gibson Jr. playing guitar and singing, me, and you had AJ Pollock on guitar, and then Wade Miley was trying to learn the bass.
That's hilarious.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, speaking of your music, I know you had a new CD album, whatever they call it now, dropped not that long ago. And like I said, I told you off the air, I missed you at the Pirates Den. And this guy said you're singing over at one of the church festivals close to him.
Union Township Festival last weekend.
So you got any local stuff going on here that people could catch you?
I don't have a lot going on. I was supposed to play this Saturday, but we pushed it back into July or August. But, if people check the Bronson Arroyo Band Facebook page, the thing is I never advertise and I never ask to play anywhere. So sometimes these offers just come down the pipe randomly. And as they come down, we put them up on the website and people can see where the full band is playing there all the time. And I'm going to start putting up when I'm playing by myself solo, which I will be doing over the next year a little bit more. I'm going to start, these records I'm putting out are kind of singer-songwriter, sit by yourself or sit with somebody with a cello and play these beautiful songs. And I'm about to put a second one out with 8 songs on it here, probably in about 3 weeks. Being mixed and mastered right now. And so, I'm having a ball doing it, and hopefully people around town can come out and catch a show sometime.
Yeah, I know we had a blast last year when you came out to the Moreland Lager House and did a couple songs out there. That's the intimate thing you're talking about. It's just you and a guitar. And I think it was really, it's a different setting than like when I saw you at the Pirates Den a couple years ago. It's more intimate, more one-on-one, and it's a different type of music, but it's also the same type of song. So it's interesting how that goes. Yeah,
there's a lot of energy in the full band. We're ripping Pearl Jam, Even Flow, and Nirvana, and it's a full-on 5-man just getting after it, right? And you don't really get to have that intimacy with the crowd. You're kind of like it's a freight train going. But when I'm playing by myself, especially the singer-songwriter stuff, the story means more to me than anything. And so, like I was saying, I'm starting to play in people's living rooms a little bit sometimes. If you can get 30 or 40 people who care about music and you really want to hear where these stories come from, it's been a really nice evening to be able to like present some of these acoustic things for people.
Yeah, exactly. So you got your guitar with you. If you want to play a couple songs for us, you can go for it.
Maybe we'll cut them short if you want to hear a couple so we don't drag it out.
No, you're good, man. We got time.
Okay. So actually, I didn't know what I was going to play today, but I saw just before we came on that I've written 41 songs with a kid around town named Joe Jordan.
Okay.
And if anybody likes kind of like a Tyler Childress, that folky Zach Bryant thing that's going on, that's what we've been writing. And Joe is an Atlantic Records artist. And he's putting out 62 songs for Atlantic Records. And some of the songs that we've written, about 4 or 5 of them, he's already put out. He put one out today, I think, called If You Will, I Will. And that's coming out on my record on the next one. Joe puts out, we're putting some of these songs out together. He'll put one out and I'll put one out, totally different version of it. Same lyrics mostly, but just different concept. And, I'm doing it a lot for fun. And Joe's, taking it serious. But I figured I'd play that one since it just came out for him today. It's called If You Will, I Will. And it goes, let's see here. There we go. Well, I loved you when I met you. Now I know you and I know it's gonna last. All the winter came and went, my love. We're in the clear and summer's on the grass. I saw the worry in your eyes slip away when I swore you were enough. Oh, the devil tried to take our love, but he never stood a chance against us. Oh, and I swear you're never gonna be more loved, never gonna be more loved, girl. And I ain't never gonna give you up, just ain't in my blood now. So I'll run if you run, into 1,000 suns if you go. And I will dance if you dance, won't let go of your hand if you won't. Oh, most folks folks try to have the kind of loving that we have, but they don't. Well, we just lucky or we're blessed. Hell, I guess it's a little bit of both. Oh, and I swear you're never gonna be more loved, never gonna be more loved, girl. And I ain't never gonna give you up. It just ain't in my blood now. I'll run if you run, into 1,000 suns if you go. I will dance if you dance, won't let go of your hand if you won't. And I will give you my heart with all its bruises and scars if you want it still. But if you want to go forever, cross my heart and death until. If you do, I do, and if you will, I will. If you will, I will. If you will, I will. If you do, I do. And if you will, I will. That's If You Will, I Will.
Woo! I like it.
Done.
I like it. I like it. I had our mics muted so we don't get in the background or anything. So I had to click them back on. So yeah, that's good.
Joe put that one out today, and that one's coming out on the record soon. And this, I'll play you one more. It's coming out on the next 8 songs as well.
Okay.
Hopefully in the next month. This one's called Darlin', Darlin'. This is like, it's me thinking about, I'd hear stories from my parents about the sailor ships used to come into the Keys, into Key West.
Uh-huh.
And I was just thinking about how the sailors would get off the ship and they'd be, you know, you're trying to pick up a chick, you're trying to pick up a local girl before you get back on the boat, right? And this is like a girl who just got her heart broken by a sailor or whatever, and he splits out of town, and she runs into a quirky guy that she wouldn't necessarily give the time of day, but he's kind of charming, and she just got her heart broken. So they're kind of like, trying to enjoy each other for the evening.
Sounds good. Go for it.
It goes, tripping over your heels from happy hour deals. Some sad sack of shit broke your heart. Never pay me the time of day, but you're in such a way that my sarcastic charm sparked a spark. I said I love what you're wearing, it's elegant as daring, and your beauty is the envy of time. She said you're awfully well spoken, but my heart's just broken, and love's the last thing on my mind. Darling, darling, you ain't looking for a lover, that's fine. We can dance all your sorrows right into tomorrow. Forget about love for tonight. You can sleep in our cars if the liquor hits hard. Forget about love for tonight. Woke up in the car, next bent like a crowbar. Got a headache that'd humble the devil. She said, good Lord, good God, need some hair of the dog. A Bloody Mary for the early bird special. We start drinking at 10, we're buzzing now it's noon. She says, all right, I think that I like your style. So we laid in the grass till the alcohol passed, and we headed back to the bar for a while. Oh, darling, darling, you ain't looking for a lover, that's fine. We can dance all your sorrows right into tomorrow. Forget about love for tonight. Oh, darling, darling, these drinks are the top of the line. If the liquor hits hard, we can sleep in our cars. Forget about love for tonight. Just wanna spend time with you, don't need to lie with you. Forget about love for tonight. If you start catching feelings, but your heart ain't done healing, forget about love for tonight. stroll around town. We'll talk until the sun hits your eyes. And when you lean in to kiss me, just blame it on the whiskey. Forget about love for tonight.
I got to turn my mic on. Woo! There you go. I like that one. That's good. That's real good. I like the words of that one. That's how do you come up with the ideas? Like you say, you're basically told a story about the song. How do you come up with that stuff?
So every day, we've written 41 songs in about 38 days. And Joe's just super fast with lyrics. And man, it's just like word vomit. Like he's just so good. Like there's a day that I said, he came one day, this was early on. This was like the fourth or fifth song we wrote. It was called Skate. It's on that first record. And I said, I gave him these weird chords. And I said, I want to write this about a kid in the basement. He's 19 or 20 years old. And he doesn't want to get a real job. He's streaming himself on Fortnite, trying to make $1 billion and basically just middle finger up to his parents. He doesn't have a driver's license. And Joe thinks for a minute and he says, what do you think about living on pixels, pair it with a fistful cherry smoke in my lungs? Ooh. First thing out of his mouth. And it's like, he just knows how to nail words to what you're describing in a story. And so most of the time he'll come, I'll play him a little jingle on my guitar that I have, a little piece of something. And I might have a melody I'm humming, and I might have a chorus and a verse, or just a verse and no chorus, or whatever. It depends. But it's always a little bit of an idea. And most of the time I'll have an idea of what I want to write it about. It'll be about this subject. And then he just starts thinking. And the first couple lines are really hard to get. But once he gets those couple of lines, I kind of see where he's going melodically. Then I can start firing off words and say, what about this? What about this? And at the same time, he's typing in his notes in his phone. He's kind of not listening to me, but kind of listening. And it's beautiful. Sometimes I'll spit out a line for a verse, and it won't show up until the bridge. And he'll be like, there's your line. And it's almost like a magic trick in a way. And honestly, every day we finish a song from 11 o'clock to 3. And we eat lunch in the middle of that. And usually by lunchtime, the song's almost done. And you're listening back to it, and you're just like, that's the best song I've written ever. And then the next day, it's like, that's the best song I've ever written ever. Because Joe's storytelling ability is so damn good that he just puts fertilizer on these ideas, man, and makes them come to life for me.
Yeah, that's I can tell that with, especially that nothing wrong with the first song you did, but that last song was really, you could hear the story of exactly what you're talking about.
Very intricate. Yeah. The stories are very in depth, man. He doesn't want to put anything in there that's fluffy. There's just a lot of words that mean something to the subject matter that I'm asking to write about. And so it's been beautiful, man. It's been really fun to know that you could go to a funeral or go to a wedding and play a couple of songs for people that might just hit them in the heart. It's nice.
Exactly. Joe, you got anything?
Well, to me, songs that tell stories, I think those are just, I don't know the right way to put it, but like just even if you go back to someone like Jim Croce, like about Leroy Brown, it weaves just this indelible tale that it helps when you've got a catchy melody that goes along with it. But to be able to do that and make it sound good, like to me, that's just one of the coolest abilities to do that. And that's something I wish, I've got a bass guitar in the corner on the other side of the room here.
Hey, there's your next bass player, right there, bro.
come back in a year when I actually start playing.
Wade doesn't make it to the end of the season, yeah.
Right, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of sappy love songs, but but if you write a love song that has a story in it, to me, it's just so much more. I don't say entertaining, but it grabs you a lot better.
Yeah, just powerful. There's one that we wrote. I'll play a little piece of it. It's like and my wife asked me to write a song for her, and I generally, that's really hard when someone asks you to write something off the top. But it was like, it's like they say you're all I've got, babe. You're all I ever need, babe. You're all I ever want. If you ever leave, swear you'll come back to me. And the chorus is promises only go as far as a man. I go to the end of the stars if I can. I'll burn out with them if I'm holding your hand. I don't mind, 'cause you're all mine. Till death do us part, back when we had our start. I meant every word twice the weight of my heart. You ask me to go, won't you show me how far? How far? To the end of the stars. And I generally wouldn't be able to pull off a song like that. But when I say to Joe, hey, here's the chords that feel like a love song. And then I say, I want to write it about this specific subject. He has enough versatility, the way I did pitching in lyrical content, to throw me something. And if I say, no, it's not like that, I don't like it like that, he says, well, what about this? And I say, well, not almost. Well, then, okay, how about that? And I'm like, oh, there it is. And that's the kind of way we can work through these songs. Me by myself, I would never be able to write a song for the most part that could give you goosebumps. And Joe, I feel like he can do it in like every third song, you know, and it's
a talent. It's a talent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just some people got it and some people don't. I mean, it's just like because this is totally their genre of music, but Eminem, I've heard him talk about the words and how he puts them together for his different lyrics and stuff. And it's the same thing what you're talking about, because it's gotta make sense or go with the song somehow. And I don't know how to do it. I have no musical ability whatsoever, but that's talent. And I it's not everybody has it. And for you guys, and for you have it, but he can help you put it together better is awesome. You need people to, iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. And to be honest, it's been really fun because, last time he was over, he said, Bronson, I ain't trying to blow smoke up your butt, man. But he said, of the songs that I've put out, the songs that we've written, other than his number one song, has been his top sellers.
There you go.
And he's like, I come over here and you're so untrained and you give me these kind of unorthodox ideas and chord shapes. And he goes, I write with guys in Nashville all the time that have big names. And he said, inevitably, I come over here and it's an easier write with you. And, I'm just kind of like a hack in a way. Like I've just figured it out on the fly. And I know my skill set can be decent in one department, but I'm not afraid to ask someone else for a part of the department that I'm not very good at. And so it's been really, really fun to just work with him and see these songs. When you turn on YouTube and somebody's getting married to a song you wrote in your basement with your friend,
That's
right?
cool.
And they're singing it at the wedding, or somebody's like copying it on the guitar, trying to play a cover of it. It doesn't get any better than that.
That's gotta be so cool.
That's pretty cool. So you're saying you kind of do the outside the box thinking, and that's because you got guys like you're talking about, guys who are musicians, went to school for this stuff and everything, and that's not a bad thing. Sometimes you need people who, I don't want to say just wing it, because you're not winging it, you're working on it, but it's just a different way of bringing it together. And right. sometimes it just works out better that way. It's just the way things go. Joe, you got anything?
No, I got nothing. No, I'm just kidding.
I keep talking a lot, so I try not to ignore Joe. So that's why I always bring that up. Go ahead.
So basically, he's kind of like your Bernie Taupin then, and able to help collaborate.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's Elton John's collaborator,
yes.
Jeff.
But here's the thing: what they were doing, I mean, at least from the stories I've heard, what they were doing to me seems doubly hard than what I'm doing, because I'm presenting the music and a melody. We're plugging in words afterwards. Bernie was writing a story, and then Elton is writing the music after the fact, which is how Under the Bridge got written by the Chili Peppers. And I can't wrap my brain around reading a poem and writing something as good as Under the Bridge after the fact. I need that music there first, and then I feel like I could plug the story in.
And I always thought that's I'm a big fan of the band Tool, and most of their songs are written in that way. I mean, like the music comes and then he fits the lyrics around them. Right. But every now and again you hear songs that like they actually wrapped the music around the lyrics, and you're like, how do you make that, to take that, again, it's just poetry on a page. Yeah. And it's not written in ABA, it's not basic poetry that you read in like second grade, like, and to be able to wrap that into something that's melodic and pleasing to the ear, like it's a talent that just completely beyond me, but something that I absolutely appreciate the hell out of.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I sit down here one day, I said to Joe, I was like, man, he said, oh, I already wrote 2 songs this morning over at the studio. And I said, man, do you ever get tired of writing lyrics, man? And he goes, did you ever get tired of playing catch in between starts? Mm-hmm. And I said, no. And
there you go. So yeah.
For him, it's like, it's a beautiful grind, man, just to write every single day. He's written over 4,000 songs. He's 29 years old.
Jesus, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. It's like all he does.
Well, the thing is, if it's something you love, you never get tired of doing it. Because I mean, people, this is not even the same era, but I mean, people think I'm crazy because I do this podcast every day. I'm like, you're nuts. I'm like, oh, I love doing it. It's not work. It's fun. Right. I mean, it's hard work trying to reach out and get guests, but it's fun to do it. And that's the thing. It's like, if it's your passion and it's something you love to do, it's not work. It's really not. Yeah. It's fun. And that comes out in the music. It comes out like in your pitching. Because I mean, even in your back of your day, you're pitching. You brought this up before about how to figure out how to get guys out. that's what you had. Everybody has to do that, and that's the art of pitching: is not only making a good pitch, but figure out how to set the guy up to get him out, to know what pitch will get him out and where and what time.
Right, and the harder the game gets, and the better the hitters are, the less likely you are can get them out the same way time and time again.
Right.
So there are times when you face somebody like an Albert Pujols or a Lance Berkman, and you say to yourself, if there's nobody on base early in the game, I'm going to throw Albert fastballs down and away, and he might hit one out of the park. And I'm okay with that, because when it's second and third and it's in the sixth inning and the game is on the line, then I'm going to go to the inside changeup where I want to beat him at or whatever it is, right? And that is like a whole nother level from just saying, I'm going to beat this guy in this way. Now you're having to strategize about when is the right time to beat him with that tool that you know is the one to use. And so, you know, when you peel back the layers of that and then you map that onto a playoff game and you hear stories about Greg Maddux hoarding one pitch for a specific batter for 3 months to use it in a playoff game because he didn't want to waste it during the regular season is just, you know, it's like in outer space, man. It's like Mozart, you know.
Those are the craziest stories, like that he sets guys up years ahead of time,
right.
and just has the recall in that moment to be like, oh yeah, he, you know, it was an 0-0 count in the second inning. This guy, you know, looked ridiculous on a breaking ball, and he'd pull it up at that moment. You know, that's savant. Like, but again, that's why when you look at his stats and you like, it's like that's how those guys are.
Yeah, that's why he's Greg Maddux.
I mean, there's great pitchers, and then there's Pedro, there's Randy Johnson, there's, you know, Randy Johnson, different type of pitcher, but
right. They were physically dominant. Greg was doing it with his mind mostly. I mean, his command is a physical skill that could be compared to velocity. But I remember I didn't have a lot of conversations with Greg, just a few over the years, and I saw him in the Dodgers locker room when he was probably over 40 years old. I think he was like 41. He was laying on his back doing some weird shoulder exercises that were odd. And I said, hey, Greg, I said, I saw you and Schilling were on the front of Newsweek or a baseball, This Week in Baseball or something like that. It's like a magazine. And I said, it was you and Schilling on the front, and it said the old geezers. And I said, you were holding. That's what it said. It said the old geezers, but he was holding the ball like this.
Yeah.
He was holding the pitch like this with his middle finger up. And I said, why did you do that? Why were you holding the ball like that? I know there's no pitch in your repertoire. There's no one's repertoire who throws a pitch. And he said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, did you have your middle finger up because you wanted people to think that's how you threw your two-seamer or something? Like you playing mind games here. And he just goes, I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm thinking, this guy's Jim Carrey, dude. He's never going to come out of character. He's never going to tell me how he does that damn sinker.
Right, exactly.
Although from what I heard, like also him just flipping the camera off, just for shits and giggles was probably a possibility.
I was thinking too.
You hear stories, and he's one of the most disgusting guy. You know, like just disgusting. Like
we can do another hour on how disgusting he was. And I was never even in the locker room with him. But I know guys that he talked about pitching with in the shower while he was peeing on their leg. I know that for a fact.
Why is my leg getting warm all of a sudden?
Yes, exactly. Can you imagine you're a rookie, you just have your second big league start, and Greg Maddux is close to you in the shower, and he's like, hey, I want to talk to you about pitching. Dude, like, what?
Oh, my goodness. My boy Catpole's in here. My son. I want to get his question. Here's Bronson, did you talk about Hunter's year so far? Definitely a career year. Barring injuries, there's no sign of slowing down. So what's your thoughts on what Hunter's done this year?
Yeah, you know, I had a conversation with him down in the parking lot last time I was down there. And, you know, guys who have good stuff, there's a lot of guys who have good stuff. And then there's more guys who never figure out how to consistently use that stuff to where you would say, this pitcher is the type of guy who's going to go out and give you this type of a season, right? Like when we talk about Brandon Phillips, we talk about 275, right? Mm-hmm. He's a 275 hitter. Even if he starts off 240, it doesn't matter if he starts off at 320, he's probably going to settle in around there. And that's what you're looking for. That's a solid big league baseball player. And Hunter, when I saw him, I said, hey, man, it's nice to see that you guys in the rotation, especially yourself, have figured out that, hey, I'm comfortable in my skin doing what I do, and this is how I go about it. And I know I can do it to any team on any given day. I don't care who's in the lineup. My stuff's good enough. I don't need to go get more. I'm just going to sit right here at 99 and 100. I know my breaking ball is good enough. I have an idea how I want to get hitters out consistently. And that's one thing that people don't realize is that if you're good at AAA because your stuff is good, it doesn't mean that you know how to get big league hitters out who are going to make adjustments faster to you after that first time around the league. And so in order to get comfortable in your own skin and feel like you're the Hunter Greene from AA at the big league level, it takes a little while. And then you mix in a few injuries, it could take parts of 3 or 4 years. And he's finally there. So barring injuries, I expect to see him go out and be able to battle in a playoff game against the best pitchers in the game and not be fearful and feel like, hey, we feel like we got a chance behind this guy tonight. I don't care if we're going up against Max Scherzer in the middle of a playoff game or a World Series.
Now, one thing
okay, good. I'm saying, how much is it is just the confidence? Because you see him out there, and he's out, especially when he's rolling. He's working fast, and he's learned command over control, right? I mean, he's dotting 9,900 miles an hour, lower outside corner, right on the border. How much of that is just confidence, knowing that if you throw your pitch, if you hit your spot, there's not one hitter, Aaron Judge, Barry Bonds, whoever, they're not hitting that.
Right. Yeah, it's all confidence. I mean, that's I was talking with Nick Kroll one day, and we were saying the question came up is like, what's wrong with the team? And I said, this is how you win with a baseball club. When you have enough guys who feel confident enough in their abilities, like Hunter does now, that I'm a big league pitcher, when you have the locker room with, let's say that you're starting 9 and 2 guys in the bullpen and 3 guys in a rotation. So when you have 15, 16, 17 dudes in a locker room who know exactly who they are as a big league player, and you can put up the numbers on the back of your baseball card year in and year out, and you feel confident in that, that's when you start getting deep in the playoffs and win a World Series. And if you don't have enough of those guys, then you're obviously looking to somebody like Hunter, who maybe is there and some other guys aren't, to pull a little bit more of the load. But you can only pull so much. But the confidence factor is the whole ball of wax. And where that confidence comes from is doing it enough times against enough good competition to say, you know what? My inside cutter, I didn't know if that was going to work against Barry Bonds. Works against everybody else, but I just beat him to the punch there. I know that works against Barry. I can beat anybody in the game with a good cutter on the inner half on 2-2 most of the time, right? And when you feel that going through your veins, it's like, I'm here, man. And then you start getting aggressive then. Then it's kind of like, I'm so confident that now you start leaning into it. Like, man, I don't care who's at the plate, right? It's like, I'm going to dominate these guys today. And all of that plays onto itself in order to, to continue to have quality seasons.
Yeah. Now, one thing I want to ask you, that we've been on an hour right here. I'll get you out here on this. You talked about how Maddox set guys up, and you're talking about not throwing your best pitches at the beginning and doing it more toward the 5th, 6th, 7th inning. How does that change now with starting pitchers because of they pitch 5 innings? I mean, we had a complete game yesterday for Evan. Nobody pitches complete games anymore. They don't let them. You hit 100 pitches, you're done most of the time. How do you think, of talking to the younger guys, how does that change how you set batters up? Because you're most likely not going to be in there in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning.
Right. I mean, look, the way that they're talking, the statistics of the game, they want guys to miss bats. That's what they want. They want you to throw your nastiest stuff for 5 innings and have 4 guys out of the bullpen throw 100 behind you, and hopefully you win the ball game. But for me personally, if you watch anybody who wins a World Series, they have at least 2 guys in a rotation who can get deep in the game like Abbott does, right? And the way he has been. And so I still value starting the game slow. I still value getting outs with less. I still value less strikeouts, let them put it in play. And I know that's not, on paper, it doesn't map out as your best defense, but neither does a broken arm because you're throwing every single pitch as hard as you can, right? So at the end of the day, you're trying to figure out what formula works the best over the long haul, not just for 1 month. I'm trying to have a career here. I'm trying to win 108 games like I did for the Reds while I was in this uniform, right? Not trying to give you 120 game season. And so at the end of the day, when I talk to young guys, I'm still talking about see if you can get outs with less. Now, if you're in the 1st inning and it's 2nd and 3rd right away, you got to go to the well and get the good stuff. But I'm not going out on the mound as a major league pitcher and being satisfied with pitching 5 innings, man. If I make it through the 6th, okay, great. But I averaged just under 7 innings a start for the whole 06 season and averaged 110 pitches that whole time. And I was, 180 pounds. So it's not like these guys can't do it. It's just that when you run the math of the game, it says to miss bats. But it doesn't necessarily play out well for a starting pitcher, right? To go out there. And how can you ask someone to be a marathon runner and say, you've been a marathon runner your whole life, but now I'm going to ask you to go ahead and run only 1/3 of the marathon as fast as you can and then hand the baton off? That's great. but the guy still wants to cross the finish line at some point, right? And say, I'm a marathon runner. And so I have a little bit of a problem with just going out there trying to throw the nastiest stuff you can for 5 innings.
Well, the thing is, too, is it saves you on pitches. If you can get a guy out in one pitch instead of 3, like he grounds out or flies out, that's where call me old. I don't understand. I mean, I get missing bats. I get it. But see, they're afraid of players who pitch to contact. And the guys in the infield and the outfield got gloves for a reason. I don't get that because, again, it saves pitchers, saves your arm. Like, it makes sense to me.
I know. And the other thing too is in the old days, they used to say that there was 4 starters and there was only a few guys in the bullpen. And the only reason you were in the bullpen back in the old days is because you weren't good enough to be a starter.
Right.
But the truth of it is that most of the guys in the bullpen today and any day aren't good enough to be starters either. If you when they asked Aroldis Chapman to go out there and be a starter after his first season, they were like, hey, you think you want to be a starter in spring training? He didn't want any part of it because he knows that going out there for 7 innings throwing like that is going to be a war every 5th day. And he didn't want to do that. He wants to come out, boom, 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 run a couple sprints as fast as you can and call it a day, right?
Right.
And so even the guys that are in the bullpen now that are throwing 95 to 100 or consistently 98 to 102 or whatever it is, those guys still don't have a skill set to be a starter. And so for me, if I'm going to run a guy out there like Abbott, he's obviously one of the 5 best guys to get deep in the ball game. I want to see him deep in the ball game if at all possible. And so it doesn't really make sense to me to have a guy go 5 and then depend on 4 other dudes to come out of there who probably aren't as good as the guy who was on the mound, other than getting just 3 out. But because every night that you do that, you're also flipping a coin on 4 dudes. Does he have his good stuff?
Right.
He's seen the starter for 5 innings. He has his good stuff tonight. So if I can get 4 more outs out of him, I'd rather have that. Yep. But, listen, there's an ebb and a flow to the way that people think about operating inside of a game. It always changes, and it goes like this. But if you see who wins the World Series every year, you tell me that their starters are averaging 5 innings a start and that the bullpen's eating up 4 every single night. I guarantee you can't find it.
Well, and the problem is there's a difference between, I'm big into stats. Like I love all the advanced stats. I understand them, and there's a big place, but there's a difference between what's the most efficient and what's practical. Right. 5 and fly like that. That's great, but you don't have guys that when you find someone like Scherzer or Verlander who can start out that they're limiting their stuff, like they're trying to get early contact earlier in the game. When it gets to the 5th, 6th inning, they still have all that juice behind them, and they're striking out batters at a higher rate. Right. It's these guys. You can't build guys in a lab. That's why there are guys like Luis Arias, who is a very much a throwback hitter, in that he's hitting slapping singles and doubles, not walking at all, or not walking or taking strikeouts at all. He's just trying to slap the ball, get into the play, and force the defense to Is that the most efficient baseball? No, not at all. I mean, and we understand that. But it's fun to see that guy. It's fun to see someone who's not trying to crank it 450 every time. He's just trying to slap the ball the other way. Right. Pull a pitch if it's if someone leaves some or enter third, pull it, great. But just put the pressure on the defense and move the runners around, stuff like that. So the game will change, and there'll be more. At some point, I think it'll revert to having more, not fully pitch to contact guys, but guys valuing them a bit more. Right, and I think it's going to start coming back to that here before too long.
Well, the thing is too, is like you said, it doesn't, if you have all 5 guys in a rotation, they're never going to be identical anyway.
Yeah, right.
I'm not saying that you can't have 2 guys in a rotation who give you 5 every night, who strike out, 10 every time, and then you go to your pen. But you need a guy like Abbott to plug in between, because you need to give the bullpen a rest for 1. Yeah. And 2, you need some versatility, inside of that rotation. If every single guy on your staff is throwing 95 to 100 with a slider and they don't have a third pitch, it starts looking the same all the time. Guys can dial that up. And so
they're going to hit you. Yeah.
Batters are seeing the same pitch inning after inning after inning.
You want to see some diversity. And so it's nice that this staff has that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Bronson, dude, I appreciate you. This has been fun as always. You've been on for an hour and 8 minutes. Like I said, if we do the thing at the Moore Longer House, I will definitely hit you up again. We'll get you to play there. Plug anything you want to plug before I'll let you go.
Oh man, just look at the Bronson Arroyo Band Facebook page. All the stuff will be up, and come check out a show. Say hi. I usually hang out after the music while the equipment's being cleaned up. I'm always taking pictures, signing autographs, having a beer with somebody. It's a ball. Come out and see the band sometime.
That's how I got this baseball signed by you.
I was a little disappointed that last year you played the concert there in Sycamore Township. I got right where the pool that I'm at, and be able to talk to you when you were loading in and loading out. So it's disappointing that you weren't on this year's this year's concert. So we'll have to catch up with you.
The townships want to rotate the bands and stuff, and so it's kind of sometimes every other year, every third year, you kind of like make your way around somewhere.
There you go. All right, Bronze, appreciate you, man. We'll do it again sometime. I'll reach out to you again.
Yeah, man. All right.
Always fun, buddy.
Later. All right, Joe, you got anything? Final words you want to say to Reds country here before I let you go?
No peaks or valleys, right? That's what the whole season is like. Isn't that what Nick Cross said 2 years ago? No peaks or valleys, and then that's all the season has been: 5-game win streak, 5-game losing streak, 3-game win streak, 4-game losing streak.
Be nice to just flatline
it. Chase Burns made his first AAA start today. Mm-hmm. I think he went 5 1/3, struck out 7, gave up 2, but walked 4. Whatever. Carl said a couple weeks ago that there's doesn't really think there's going to be a chance that he's going to pitch in the majors this year. I think he's pitching in the majors this year. Guys are atrophying anyway. There isn't a ton of depth at AAA anymore. I can't wait to see that guy on an MLB mound. He throws 101, 102 miles an hour, and that's not even his pitch. His pitch is a slider, which is one of the best breaking balls in all of minor league baseball. I can't wait to see him up here.
Yeah, I can't wait either.
That dude's electric, and he's got the moxie, and he's got the, I don't want to say attitude because that has a negative connotation. Like he's got a fire in him that's going to piss off the Cub fans when he strikes someone. Like exactly, he's going to strike someone out for the 3rd out of the inning. And he's going to come off the mound, jumping, screaming, strutting, and
I'm here for it. I'm here for
that.
I can't wait to see him, but I don't want them to rush him. He's going to be really good.
Yeah, but I mean, he's on the same path. I mean, Louder pitched 6 games in the Reds rotation last year. Now, granted, he hasn't been able to pitch in the majors this year because he's been hurt all year, but like that has nothing to do with anything. Yeah. So I mean, they're being smart with them. Reds are pretty conservative on their pushing guys through the system. So,
all right, Joe. Well, I appreciate it. Dustin said he hopes he mows down Pete Armstrong. I hate that guy.
Yeah, but his mom was in Little Big League as the main character's mom, which is funny as shit. And she was pretty good looking back in the day. You ever seen the movie Little Big League? The kid inherits the baseball team from his grandpa.
Yeah, not like I saw it back then. I haven't seen it forever.
It's one of the better ones, but like his mom, who was the mom on the show, she's pretty damn good looking. So
I have to go check it out again. Yeah. Good thought. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it, brother.
See you guys.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed that much as I did. My thanks to Bronson Arroyo. Of course, Joe Farsing for joining the show. That was awesome. If you missed any of it, you guys can check out later on tonight. I'll be putting it on the podcast. It's on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Please leave a 5-star review and a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. Thanks for watching. As always, I've been live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch. You follow me on all those along with Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And shout out to my sponsors. And the sponsor of the Ice Cave is Priority Lawn and Landscaping. If you got a lawn you don't want to cut, think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. You need stuff done with your flower beds, anything done with your shrubberies or any kind of landscaping things you need done. Think Priority Lawn and Landscaping. You can also buy mulch and gravel and everything from them. Give them don't think. Call them at 513-430-6114. That's 513-430-6114. You can also follow them on Facebook. Shout out to the T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And, of course, Meyer Windows and Doors. Check them out at MeyerCincinnati.com for all your window and door needs. I got them in my house. I highly, highly recommend you get them in yours. All right, tomorrow I'm going to have 2 people. We got Evan McPhillips, not Evan McPherson. Hopefully I get Evan McPherson on, but Evan McPhillips from the Right Sports Network. And also Yanni from Local 12. He's the sports director there. We're going to be on. We'll be discussing Bengals minicamp. Shamar Stewart left. Is it left a day early? Is it that big of a deal? Me and Yanni were talking. 5:30. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Remember, Houday for life. Throw it up. That's your sports, baby. See ya!
Weekday nights, the city roars. Tune in loud, turn up some more. Cincinnati show, it's time to play. Sports with strawberry ice today. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. TTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's pure delight. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Every touchdown, every goal. Feel the pulse, it's in your soul. Cincinnati heartbeats strong. Strawberry ice will lead the throng. Feel the crowd, it's electric now. Shouting loud, they all know how. CTV got what we crave. Sports with ice, it's waves and waves. Tigers strike and Bengals roar. Every game we want some more. Tune it in and feel the thrill. Strawberry ice, he's giving chills. 5:30 sharp, don't be late. TTV, the sports awaits. Strawberry ice, he's on the mic, energy, it's pure delight.